Why do symptoms show up? I keep returning to a simple question. This is an old one. Why do symptoms show up? Not just panic or pain, all of them. Patterns we don't choose. Reactions that arrive before we do. Why? What is their purpose? Every generation has tried to answer with whatever tools they had. Curious, searching. And each time it seems like we got a little closer. Of course, it didn't start with neuroscience. It started with curiosity. Maybe it started with someone noticing a pattern. Freud said something bold for his time. What was he sensing? Symptoms aren't meaningless. They're protective. He lacked words like nervous system or implicit memory, yet sensed something inside of us holds what we can't face. Was Freud sensing something real in the human psyche? Or was he projecting his own frustration onto his theories? He didn't solve it. He opened a door. Then Jung arrives with a simple idea. Symptoms are speaking. Is it punishment? Is it pathology? Or is it something else entirely? When the conscious can't hold it, the psyche finds another way to speak. What might it be saying? And then comes Adler. Quiet, steady, relational. Adler looked at movement, at direction, at meaning. He asked, what is this person reaching toward? Symptoms became signals of purpose, creative attempts to belong, to matter, to find footing in a shifting world. Symptoms are adaptation, on purpose. They show when belonging feels threatened, when courage is interrupted, when dignity needs protection. When someone can't move forward directly, the psyche moves creatively, sideways, relationally. What direction is this pattern trying to restore? What connection is it protecting? Then Rogers arrives, radical in his own way. He turns the whole field toward relationship, toward presence, toward the simple, disarming truth. People grow in the right conditions. Safety creates movement. Attunement reorganizes the psyche. Rogers shows that change doesn't come from interpretation. It comes from contact, from being met, not managed, from being understood into becoming. And from that relational ground, a new idea eventually emerges, unconditional positive regard. Later, quantum psychology offered a quiet idea. What if possibility stays open? Experience doesn't solidify until perception chooses a direction. Experience isn't fixed until perception collapses it. Nothing is until we give it name. Because what happens between us shapes what we can perceive. Perception shapes experience. And perception has roots in safety, in history, in relationship. So what becomes possible when the system feels free enough to choose? And now, neuroscience brought the mechanism. How does it actually work? For me, this is where things clicked. Scientists discovered that the nervous system is not guessing, it's recording. It encodes threat with stunning precision, stores it as implicit memory, and uses that memory to shape perception. Safety becomes the gatekeeper, deciding what we can notice, what we can feel, what choices even appear on the menu. Suddenly, what we once called the unconscious revealed itself as something far more grounded. Survival learning held in the body, waiting for the right conditions to release. The body stopped being a mystery. It became a map, detailed, elegant, exact for each individual. A system that never stopped trying to protect us, even when we had no idea what it was responding to. Then epigenetics arrives, and suddenly time expands. Adaptation isn't confined to a single lifetime. It carries echoes, whispers of what once protected a family line. Not the trauma itself, but the imprint of what kept someone alive. A residue of survival intelligence passed forward as readiness, preparedness, sensitivity, vigilance, traits that often get misunderstood, sometimes even mistaken for coldness, intensity, detachment, or hyperfocus. But through an epigenetic lens, they look different. They become signs of tuning, direction, a system shaped by history, calibrated by what came before, responding to the world with inherited precision. Epigenetics widened the frame. The body remembers more than one life can hold. And those memories wait quietly. For the moment, safety lets them soften. There's a part of our evolution we rarely name, and it keeps tugging at me. As our understanding grew, we built more and more maps, beautiful ones, useful ones, systems, frameworks, labels, attempts to explain ourselves to ourselves. They offered language, orientation, and the relief of not wandering alone. We needed that, and many helped. But something subtle is shifting, quietly, almost unheard under all our other systems in society. We began trusting the map more than the terrain of our own body. Have you noticed that? We checked frameworks, labels, for otherness before checking sensation. What happens if that order reverses? We asked, what does the model say? Before asking, what is true in me right now? That reversal reveals everything, and without meaning to, autonomy thinned. Courage drifted outward. The self waited for permission. Some systems illuminated a single piece, and then declared the puzzle solved. Others named a pattern and quietly turned it into identity. What else could it have been if the map was not the only lens? Insight arrived, but sometimes at the cost of wholeness. A trade we didn't realize we were making, because when a map becomes the source of truth, the person becomes secondary. Does it make sense? Hear it again. When a map becomes the source of truth, the person becomes secondary. The imbalance wasn't born from malice, only incompleteness, a gap between explanation and experience. No framework can hold the full intelligence of a living nervous system. No model can replace direct perception. No language can substitute for presence. Mirror doesn't discard maps. It restores their rightful place, beside the body, not above it. Healing isn't about finding the perfect system. It's about returning to our own timing, our own perception, our own embodied knowing. Could it really be that simple? When the body leads, again, what shifts first? Even with all these maps, something essential was still missing. Context. Always context. That's where mirror steps in. Not to argue, not to correct, but to hold the whole picture with curiosity and steadiness. Mirror says, symptoms arise when safety, courage, or connection falter. They are intelligent adaptations, not flaws, not fate, not puzzles to decode. Meaning doesn't come from a map. It emerges in relationship. When the nervous system feels safe enough to reflect instead of defend. Freud noticed pressure. Jung noticed language. Adler noticed direction. Quantum psychology noticed possibility. Neuroscience noticed mechanism. Epigenetics noticed inheritance. Together they form a clearer, more human picture. Mirror sees the person, right here, in context, in relationship, in full adaptive intelligence. Symptoms were never the enemy. They were the body's best attempt to protect what mattered when safety was out of reach. Now that we understand the nervous system, the story feels whole and far more humane. When the body is allowed to lead again, what changes first? This is mirror, reflect, recode, realign, and this time stay.